Hello again, everyone. This is Randy, your sewing machine man. We're looking at a Singer, and it's from the 70s. It is a 774. You can barely make that out down here, 774. And this was a very popular machine. I sold the daylights out of these. They put them in the schools. They called them the Scholastic. And, of course, they drilled a hole there, and they put a bolt down there and a bolt down there so these wouldn't move. So they were just straight stitch and zigzag only. So they didn't want the kids messing with them. And these came in a lot of iterations. The touch and sew, this is not a touch and sew. It has a regular drop-in bobbin, 66 class. But some of these were sold as touch and sews, and they had the self-winding bobbin. And, of course, they had the free arm. Touch and sew 2 was the free arm. But I get a lot of questions about this machine because I sold a zillion of them, and they're very popular. And the ones that are still running usually have a new timing belt and new gears. We stuck a new gear in this one here today. It was torn up pretty badly, if you can see that. It's composite, and I think what happened was the customer had an extra long seam guide that screwed in there, and it actually went down into the reverse mechanism, feed mechanism, whatever you want to call it, and it caused it to freeze. You know, if you put one in there and it's too long, you hear a bump, 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 bump sound. Get it the heck out of there before it tears up your gears, because they're plastic. And you know what plastic does? It breaks. So, this little guy here, just a real quick, get a lot of questions about it. How to take the top off, how to take the bottom off, how to thread it, how to wind the bobbin. So let's get started. First, how to thread it. The first thing you do, of course, raise the presser foot up. I will unthread it here real quick, and we'll snip the thread and do a real quick threading of it. Presser foot up, that lifts up the foot and also spreads the tension disc apart. They're right here inside this little area. Tension on 4, of course, that's your standard tension. I'm using an all-purpose dual duty thread. That's important as well. Put your thread on top. This is where most people get tripped up. I would sell these on a Monday. The people bring them back on Tuesday and say, I want my money back because it's looping and jamming and it's making me crazy. And then they started putting a special advisory, a big red warning in the instruction books. And a lot of people saw them, a lot of people didn't. But it told you to take the thread like this, and it had an illustration of both hands holding the thread. With the presser foot up, you go click, click. On the left, you go click. And on the right, you go click. On the right, left, right. There's a little guide over here, a little L-shaped guide. Let me show you a close-up on it. Little L-shaped guide on the right-hand side. It has to slide in behind that L-shaped guide. Let me do that again. They said, act like you were slicing a piece of cheese with a string. Make sure you put it, you click there, in front of that little L. And then you lower the foot and pull, and you know you got it in the right spot. This is on 4. You'll feel the resistance like someone has a hold of it and won't let go. So once you get that in there, you proceed to go down around here, up around. This is one of the first machines with the lay-in threading. It was very popular. It slides out there. And then, of course, you go down to the needle. There's going to be a thread guide there, and a thread guide right above the needle. And then, of course, what you're going to do is thread the needle front to back. Like all these top loads or front loads, the flat part of the needle goes to the back, and they thread front to back. Now this is black thread, and this doesn't have the little white background behind it, so we'll put some light on the subject. It threads straight through front to back. Well, I don't need a thread, you get the idea. Thread straight through front to back. Now, winding a bobbin, that is different from some of these in the respect that it has 2 guides on it instead of 1 guide. It's got the guide here, first contact point. It's got the second guide here, second contact point. And it uses a 66 class bobbin. And what's the difference? Well, a 15 class bobbin is plastic, looks like that, very similar. Then you see a 66, it'll go inside of it. It's actually smaller. The 15 class, if you put it in this machine, it'll jam it. This one works, this one does not work. So when you go to wind the 66 class bobbin, you take your thread, Stick this here for now. Put your thread on the spool, pin, like so. You bring it behind and around the back, like that. Around the back. Excuse me, that's the best way to do it. And then it doesn't jump out. Bring it around the back. Now you come over here at the stand-up post, you put it in front of that. Bring it over to the thread. I bring it around 1, 2, 3 times, and I put it up through the hole. And we always talk about putting it up through the hole. Put it up through the hole, and what happens is it'll let it cut it off nice and flush, and you don't have the thread sticking out that'll cause a malfunction in your bobbin case area. You don't want any random threads sticking out. And I'm going to put that up through there. You know, some days it goes very nicely, and some days not so much. Put it up through the hole and out the top, like so. Now we'll go back to putting it on the post. On the post, like so. Hold the thread. This goes around here. Then over on the side, of course, you disengage the hand wheel like we've been doing for a century and a half. Disengage the hand wheel. When you step on the gas, the hand wheel spins. And when you engage the bobbin winder will spin. You engage the bobbin winder, push it over like so. And always hold this to get it started. And then you'll watch this will go up and down. It's kind of a guide, up and down. Hold my finger on here so it doesn't launch into space. You hold on to that, it'll cut it flush on your thread. And away you go. And you wind your bobbin like so. Alright? So that's how you thread it. That's how you wind it. Now when you go to put it in your bobbin case, people ask me about taking these bobbin cases out to clean them. I would recommend that you do it in the following fashion. It's real easy if you know the procedure, the secret, the trick. Good, it can be a puzzle. I'm up against my neck on the other. All right, let's go here. Bobbin case is down here. I'll take this off just so you can see better. You don't really need to take it off, but it's a good idea. Bobbin case is here. Let's get a little angle on here so you can see what I'm talking about. Sound effects, no extra charge for that. Like so. So you have this little, almost all the 66 class almost always have this little gate over here, a little opening. And if you'll get a screwdriver that's the size of that opening, it's real simple. You swing this to the left, and the bobbin case lifts right out. Simplest thing in the world. Take your bobbin out, take your bobbin case out, like so. All these screws on the side, I'm looking at through the camera, these screws here, here, and here, those adjust your thread gap. Don't loosen these screws. If you do, you've lost your point of reference, and it's going to be a hard time getting it back to sewing properly. You don't even have to take a screw out. This thing swings open and swings shut. I'm going to get it in there from swing shut and swings open. And that's what holds your bobbin case, the little 66 class. You just put it in like so. Very simple. Swing this over, locks it in place like so. Then when you load your bobbin's going to be turning clockwise, no, counterclockwise. It's going to be going counterclockwise. Goes to the right because the thread's going to go back to the left. We covered that in another video. Bobbin turns to the right. There's a slot at the 7 o'clock. It goes in the slot. It's going to go underneath the spring and come out over about the 8 o'clock. Alright? Having this black thread is not helping, but you get the idea. In at 7, out at 8. And of course, when you go to thread it up, hold your bobbin up, and you can sew away, close the gate, get going. Flat spot goes to the flat side, goes to the back of the needle. It's a front load, top load rather, so flat side, long groove facing you. Now, I was asked, how do you get the top off? All of these singers are so cantankerous for getting the top off. You see the screw over here on the top right side. Top right side. You see the screw, but once you get that screw off, your journey has just begun. It is a challenge. So let's take that screw out. It's just a regular slotted screwdriver. Take that screw out. Here's where it gets fun. Take up, arm down. Make sure you lower your presser foot because there's a rod up in here that can get caught up. Open your door, pull it to the left. So you got a little notch here and two little grabbers. A notch there, and the grabbers grab this bar. So when you put it back on, make sure it's low. Bring it in so it's flush here in the front, and then slide it back to the right, like so. Well, it wasn't so hard. Yeah, I've done it a couple of zillion times, maybe a quadrazillion. So when you do it, you got to be real careful. Make sure your presser foot is down. Make sure your take-up is out of the way so everything will slide left to right. And you hook over here in the slot. Now taking the bottom off, you know, Singer, they got to do things their way. So we'll show you what they have. On the bottom, they have a screw and a screw and a screw over here. You think, well, I'll take those out and I'll be set. No, you leave this one in, you leave this one in, leave this one in. This one comes out. It's random. This one comes out, this one comes out, this one comes out, this one comes out, and it pops right off. No big deal. Unplug the wiring here to get an idea. See what's going on down inside. You blow it out, clean it out, oil everything that hinges, pivots, rotates, or slides. Put her all back together, stitch it out. Good as new. Tension on 4. Make sure you lift your presser foot when you thread it. Make sure you use a 66 class bobbin, not a 15 class. 15 class will go in there, it'll sit right down in there, and the thread will hang as it comes across. All right? Just a real quick, helpful tutorial on a bunch of little things. How to thread it, how to wind the bobbin, how to take the top off, how to take the bottom off. Singer 774. And there's going to be a whole lot of other machines that are not the touch and sew. The touch and sew has a different setup down here. This is for the 66 class. All right? Thanks.